Welcome to this edition of Attention Talk Video. I'm your host, ADHD and attention coach, Jeff Copper. And I'm here to share what has been an insight of mine that I've learned as I've coached people with ADHD through the COVID-19 pandemic. That is, number one, ADHD is an issue of self-regulation. The inability to engage your attention on tasks or things where you don't get any dopamine, and the inability to disengage your attention on things where you do get dopamine. It's a very simplistic model, but I think it's very helpful for people to begin to understand their behavior. It also understands why kids with ADHD can play computer games for hours on end. Their issue is not engaging their attention, it's actually stopping. Or why an adult can get on the internet at 8 o'clock at night and all of a sudden it's 4 o'clock in the morning. Their issue is not surfing the web, foraging for information, it's actually stopping. What's been fascinating me through this epidemic is that more and more people are becoming isolated, and they have simple things like their cell phone. They're working from home, and they're having difficulty self-regulating. In other words, not picking up the phone and foraging for information or YouTube videos or games. My insight is it's been interesting how hard it is for people to accept that they can't inhibit themselves. Time and time again, I'm hearing stories about how they think that they can do it, but if you look at the history, there's a wake of things where they have not been able to actually put the phones down. I'd say probably about a dozen people that I've coached through this pandemic need to get a flip phone. Literally, the temptations that are caused by that phone takes them away. In fact, one individual I was working with was on their phone walking through the streets of New York City and almost got hit by a car that would have been probably fatal, not realizing that their head was in the phone and they couldn't take their head out of the phone just across the street. The reason I'm reaching out to you is if you're watching this video, maybe you'll identify with this, and I implore you to take this seriously. A lot of times you actually have to protect yourself from yourself. One individual I worked with took his cell phone, put an app locker, gave it to his spouse. Spouse had the code to unlock the phone, and he was not able to do anything on the phone or download anything without permission. I've had other people do this to their computer programs so that it's almost like parental controls. You can't do anything unless it's approved by somebody else. Again, these are illustrations where people had to put in serious barriers between themselves and these things to protect themselves from themselves. Again, many people are struggling with the notion that they have to do this. But I'm here to say is that for many of you, you need to kind of get real and say, if that's what you've got to do, that's what you've got to do in order to improve your quality of life. It's not an easy thing to do because the lizard brain in you wants that dopamine. But the reality of it is if you want to move forward in life, sometimes you have to do these difficult things. I hope this has been insightful for you. Please subscribe to our channel. We release a tip each week. Also, comments. What do you think about this? Very interested in that. And with that, I hope this has been helpful. I hope you take this seriously. Catch us next week for another edition of Attention Talk Video. Take care.